time no see. I should probably prop you somewhere. Is that good? Yeah. Hello. Where have I been? You might be wondering. You haven't missed anything. I have been isolating myself, writing a million papers. I did go to Alaska for 8 days, and that was like my moment of respite. And then I've just literally been immersed in schoolwork because it is my last term of law school. And I was actually reflecting on the fact that I started this channel like way before I even started school. In fact, I was working full-time at this bookstore. Look at me now. This is probably gonna, I always say that, but I genuinely feel like this might be one of the last times I'll be in this space because I am done school April 3rd, and then I'm off on a little vacation, and then I'm back home. Well, actually, maybe you might see the space in May because I don't start my actual law job till the 26th of May. So there's a possibility that they might need me at some point in those weeks before I start my legal career, and likely won't be working at a bookstore unless I open one later on in my life, which I do hope to actualize that dream at some point in my life, but just not anytime soon. So anyways, yes, I am here for the next week because my boss is on vacation and I get the joy of being here for more than just a couple hours, because since I've been back in Vancouver, I help them out, but mainly with events because the space is perfect for that. And we have a lot of like book talks or workshops and things, and that is typically what I help them out with. It's rarely like a full shift. So the fact that I'm here for more than just, a couple hours is just like, yay. So I guess we can enjoy the last time that I'll be here for like a prolonged period of time, just because I doubt that they'll need me in May because that's not typically when anybody goes on vacation. But yeah, it feels really nice. It's also great, believe it or not, to come into the space and do my schoolwork while it's quiet, because there's no distractions. I don't need to get up 5 million times and like incessantly pet my cat, do random tasks at home that like don't need to be done in that moment, but I'm like, I must go and like fold laundry or whatever. So it like forces me to get my work done when nobody's here, while also just being like efficient, because I have to like make sure the space is like clean, or like put new books out and like talk to people when they're in the store and like receive. I actually have a bunch of receiving to do, as you can see right there. Yeah, it's kind of a win-win. So that's what you have to look forward to. I honestly, like, part of the reason too why I just haven't been inclined to pick up the camera is because I have done no reading. Like, there are certainly times when I want to talk and I want to hang, but I'm like, what do I have to share with them? Like, literally nothing. My life has just revolved around mental health law, around human rights law, AI and justice and law, and like video gaming law, which like nobody wants to hear what I've written about in terms of those things. So yeah, that has also been like a disincentive to turn on the camera. But let me just think about, well, I tried to read Oval by Elvia Wilk, who still remains like one of my favorite authors, because Death by Landscape is a book that I think about honestly on a daily basis, especially because she actually inspired for my video game law. I'm actually writing about LARPing, which she has a couple essays that she talks about that, and I never in my life had heard of said concept, or I guess like phenomenon, to be honest. So I like that it's bled onto my like academic life. But anyway, here I was saying like, I'm not going to talk about school, but anyways, since that book blew me away so much, I thought, okay, I have to read her fiction. So I picked up Oval from the library, and I just didn't get on with it. Like, maybe I was also like traveling and not in like a headspace, I guess, to like consume this book or give it all my attention, because I took it to Alaska with me. But like I got to the 100-page mark, and it was just this like not even obsession, like I shouldn't even call it that, and maybe I shouldn't even be judging that, because like, what do I know about this topic? But basically we follow a couple, and they're in this like experimental living co-op situation where this house is like a self-sustaining, like eco-friendly home essentially, and she works for the company. The partner does not work at this company, but anyways, she works within the company that created the house that she lives in. But that's not the problem. My qualm with it is that basically her partner is back from his mom's funeral and is reacting in a way that isn't what she had envisioned grief to look like or to manifest itself. And so she's very frustrated with the partner's like incapacity of like showing emotion or like crying or like feeling, I guess, the familiar, like what we construct through like media that like grief is supposed to look like. And she's like so preoccupied with this. And I'm like, girl, let it go. Like, it's okay if your partner isn't like a sobbing mess. Like, that's just like his coping mechanism. But anyway, she's like very preoccupied with like his incapacity to emote, essentially. And like that comprises like most of like the 100 pages. And I'm like, give me more. Like, I get it. You're annoyed and you're frustrated. And this is probably like symptomatic of like other things that are, you know, not great in the relationship or like that she's unhappy with. But yeah, it just got really annoying and nothing else was happening really. And like the writing was fine. It wasn't like, wow, these sentences are really keeping me here. Like they weren't, obviously, because I DNF'd this book. But yeah, I was just frustrated with the lack of like depth and nuance, which like I imagine it probably got better or would have gotten better had I just kept on going, but I just had no patience for it for some reason. I also like was very curious about this company. Yeah, like the talk about the environment and like eco-friendly, but like in a satirical sort of way. I felt like that's where it was going. But it just like wasn't enough to keep me interested. And so when I got back home, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to return this to the library and like maybe I'll give it another whirl at a different point in my life. But right now isn't it. So that's, I guess, the first DNF of the year. Since then, I've picked up Martyr and I've really been enjoying that. But again, I think I'm close to 100 pages and I've been reading it in like really tiny snippets, like literally 3 pages before I go to sleep. But I love the writing. I love how Cyrus is very not like PC and like just very blunt and direct. And I am enjoying his voice, I guess. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to actually giving it the time and attention that book deserves. But that's all I really have to say. That is it. Since January, I think is when we last spoke, which was my like favorites video. That literally has been all the pleasure reading that I've done. So kind of a bummer, like not that much to catch you up on. But I did want to purchase actually today, now that I'm in the bookstore and I'm talking to you, I want to purchase 2 books. The first one, let me bring you along. The first one is this one, which a coworker bought and was talking about the last time I was in here, like months ago, on the calculation of volume 1. This is translated by Barbara Havland. And the author is, oh, I'm not even gonna try because I'm just gonna butcher it. I'm really sorry. Anyways, I'm gonna go home with this, and I'm also going to go home, speaking of Elvia Wilk, she speaks of Arrows the Bittersweet a lot in Death by Landscape, and actually I'm gonna bring this to the front with me. She talks about this a lot, and I love Anne Carson. Next time I'm feeling like challenging myself and expanding my consciousness, I will pick this up. I also saw this, and I kind of wanted to buy it because I'm sure I'll also want to, you know, engage with more big brain energy at some point. And The Art of Cruelty by Maggie Nelson, who I think also Elvia Wilk cites in Death by Landscape. I mean, if you're getting anything from this video, it's immediately run to your independent bookstore or the library and just read Death by Landscape, please. It's so good. That's what I'm going to go home with today, which this always happens. And I don't even like give myself a hard time because like I don't really drink or go out like partying. So that's how I justify like spending like $20 on books. Like, well, I could be spending $20 on like a cocktail that I'm not going to. So may as well just redirect that money to books, I guess, instead of saving. Because like, what is that? Anyway, I don't think you should take that like rationale or like justification, but like that's what happens in my brain. Anyway, that is all I have to say for now. We'll reconvene later, obviously, but yeah, welcome back You haven't seen this space in a while. You haven't seen me in a while. So I hope this is enjoyable for at least one person out there. Hello, it is another beautiful day. We're back in the bookstore, but just like slightly different location. I'm just upstairs. This is where we keep all of the ARCs, and that's my lunch. But what can I tell you? I really just came on here to say that the new Haim song, Relationships, has me in a chokehold. I can't stop listening to it. This morning was beautiful. It was sunny, warm, no coat necessary. I just walked like this with my sunglasses, listening to Relationships. And I was just like, ugh, it is Haim's summer, despite the fact that it's like, obviously not. But mentally, that's where I was. So you all listen to it, I'm sure. But if you haven't, do it immediately. Come back to this video. Forget this video, honestly. Just like replay the music video. That would make me very happy. Anyways, I did read a little bit of Martyr on the bus, and I really enjoyed that. This morning has been pretty nice. People have been coming in. I've been chatting away. Like I said, I'm gonna have my variation of a fattoush salad. I've just been really loving pomegranate molasses. So random, but that was just like a recent introduction into my culinary sphere, I guess. So I'm gonna eat that, maybe do a little bit of reading, but honestly, I've just been writing my paper when I haven't been like talking to customers. And yeah, that's all I have for you. Really lame update, but I just really wanted to convey how important Haim's relationships song is. And I'm going to be insufferable for the next week or two because that's just going to be my personality. So I left my umbrella here yesterday and I couldn't find any other hat except for this one. And I love it. My uncle went to Peru and this was his little gift to me. But anyways, yeah, rainy day. I have to write 500 words today and I really don't want to, but I have to. I brought my tea with me and I actually brought a cake because I'll show you. Well, it doesn't look that good, so maybe I shouldn't show you. Can't even see it. But anyways, I am going to my friend's house and we are having a little belated, shouldn't call it like birthday party because my birthday already happened last weekend. I'm 28, by the way. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna put you down. Oh. Okay, there. Yeah, tonight or this afternoon, I'm going over to a friend's house because we're having a little falafel party for my birthday. That happened last week, March 8th, in case anyone was wondering. And I decided to make a cake for said event so I don't show up empty-handed. What else do I have to update you on? Oh, I started Arrows the Bittersweet because
While I did have Martyr, I don't know why, but I just really wanted to read a little bit just to get a little feel, if you will, like get my toes wet at around like 4 yesterday as like my reward for reaching my 1,000 words. I'm talking about a paper. I don't know if I said that already, but I'm writing my second to last ever law school paper. It's really taking a lot out of me. It's like not difficult, but I'm just tired. Anyway, yeah, I read a little bit of that Anne Carson book, and I just love her writing. She's so smart, and she's just got a very distinct way with words that I appreciate a lot, which I don't know why I was even craving that, because it is quite academic and kind of a little, well, not dense, but it's certainly academic. And after school, or like after doing schoolwork, I typically want to like numb my brain, which, oh my God, speaking of numbing my brain, while I was in Alaska, I listened to this podcast, the New Yorker's Critics at Large podcast about romantasy, which obviously all of you know what that is. I'm just incredibly late to the party. Like I can only remember the acronym, like ACOTAR, a cord of thorn, whatever. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I'd seen the cover of that book around, and I had heard some people in my life talk about ACOTAR, but I'd never like paid attention to it, or like the way that has just swept the nation, actually just the world in general. Like it's caused a reading phenomenon. Anyway, the like hour-long podcast about romantasy was so interesting.
Oh, this is editing Iggy. Pardon my voice, I'm a little bit sick, but yeah, I don't know where I was going with this with this story about ACOTAR and romantasy. Basically, that I thoroughly enjoyed catch up on this phenomenon that has truly just like swept the world. And it made me think a lot about like reality TV's place within entertainment, and like romantasy's place within literature, and that those are needed spaces, even though I don't really partake in the romantasy fanfare. But, you know, I appreciate it. I commend it. I think it's great that it's getting people to read again. But yeah, I don't know what else I was going to say. I did actually think of another book that I read recently. Well, part of it I read, which was Rejection. I'm Tony something or other. I'm forgetting the author's name. And oh my God, what a disturbing little read. Like, it honestly made me just like chuckle at all of you little freaks that put that book in your top books of 2024. It just really makes me look at all of you differently. Yeah, you little freaks, like I said. I had to put it away though. I have, I think, 3 or 2 stories left, because it just made me deeply uncomfortable. So cringe. Like, it's so well done, because anytime a book can elicit such like visceral reaction, I kind of have to commend it. But God, it was painful. It was so painful. Like, if you know, you know, but Jesus Christ, like I've never been more like ill reading something than I was reading those short stories. So yeah, I haven't finished it though. Like I said, I needed to take a break. I needed to take a pause because it was simply just too much. But okay, back to the video. Sorry for coming on here, but just needed to, I guess, like end that clip. Good morning. I should probably pause the music. I'm so tired today. My belated birthday party was a blast. I did so much karaoke of the Shakira variety, all in Spanish. And I woke up feeling kind of like hungover, despite the fact that like I didn't drink, but just like exhausted. My throat hurts. I feel like I'm sick or something, but I think I just went too ham on the vocals last night. Anyway, this is my last day in the store. It's probably for a little while. It's been a quiet morning so far. I've just been kind of rearranging some things and pulling books from the back or from up above, because it was a super busy day yesterday. So the place looked a little picked over this morning. I did start to read a tiny bit of Mornings Without Me, or My. I was just so called by the cover, and I was like speaking to a customer yesterday, and she was just talking about how great this book was according to a friend of hers and all the good reviews she's read. And I have never seen anyone talk about this, but I mean, Elif Batuman is on the cover and can attest to the fact that it is a profoundly real, specific, moving, and beautifully written novel. So, I mean, it comes highly recommended from a trustworthy source. I read, 33 pages of it yesterday as my little reward for not having, actually it wasn't a reward at all. I shouldn't even be saying that because I only got to 400 words. I was just exhausted yesterday and there were a lot of people coming in. So trying to focus and like come up with cohesive sentences just wasn't in the cards for me really. But anyways, that was that. Today, I'm going out to dinner with my friend Kelsey, which you have seen on this vlog before. I sometimes do think like, oh, I can just do like a little montage of, you know, life outside of the bookstore, outside of me talking about books. And every time I just completely black out and forget to ever do that. So maybe at dinner tonight, I will pull out the camera. Yeah, what else can I share with you? Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just chilling. This is a store today. That's all I have to share. I really, now that it's quiet, I probably should get in like an hour or two of writing before it gets busy because it's actually a really pretty day today and I imagine we'll be busy. But yeah, that's all I have to share this on this fine morning. And if you've read this, please let me know because I've been a mess, if you can't tell. Like 2 days or 2 shifts ago, I read a tiny bit of Arrows the Bittersweet. I also read a tiny bit of that cool cover that I showed you, I think like 3 days ago. And now I read 30 pages of this yesterday, so, and very little of Martyr, if you can't tell. But I don't know, I guess I've just been depriving myself of literature, and so now I'm just like trying to dip my toes into like everything I can for the short duration of this bookstore gig, I guess. Hello, I am in Denmark, in Copenhagen, and I will do a wrap up of what I've read recently because surprisingly, I've read 3 books. But I was just sitting here reading, let me get my book, 15 Dogs. Started it on the plane, really enjoying it, but I was also perusing the shelves above me, which, if I'm being honest, this is the only reason, or not the only reason, but the main selling point of this Airbnb, and I'm obsessed. So I've been snooping, and I've found some gems. I hope this isn't like an absolute breach of privacy, but I feel really compelled to show you what I have found because let me tell you, the owner of this Airbnb is quite a well-read gal, and I almost want to message her and be like, we have very similar reading tastes. Like, there's Ocean Vuong up there. What else? I don't know. Let me show you. All right, so we have got A Little Life. What else did I see? Ocean Vuong. Alice Walker. So cool. We have got all of the Deborah Levy living biography. Is that what they're called? These 3? You know what I'm talking about. Real estate, yeah, anyway. Very cool. All in Danish. We've got some Jonathan Franzen up there, Michel Foucault. I mean, this is great. Margaret Atwood, all the way up there. I saw an Allie Smith. She's also got this basket situation, which I feel very inspired to recreate in my own home. I'm gonna assume that this is her TBR pile. God, I feel a little bit bad doing this, but then again, it's like, it's just books. Like, I'm not sharing her, like, I don't know, like social security number, you know what I mean? But anyways, again, I obviously snooped, and we've got Sally Rooney, which I can't wait for her to read. Claire Keegan, which I have not read. What else did I see in here that appealed to me? Chucky Bain. Anyway, just very cool. I have been thoroughly enjoying perusing her shelves and discovering someone's reading taste in a snoopy kind of way. But yeah, I will come back in a bit to actually discuss what I have been reading lately because we are on our way out This is our second full day here, and my mom and I have truly just been enjoying Copenhagen, and we've been blessed with beautiful days while we've been here, so that has been really lovely. And I've filmed none of it, but that is what I have been up to. And what else did I want to say to you? I didn't manage to finish my last paper. We are waking up early. We do our 500 words, and then we go on and meander and get on with our day and enjoy the beauty and privilege of vacation. So anyways, we'll check back in tomorrow or maybe at some point this afternoon to talk about what I've read. Hello. We are obviously not in Copenhagen or Europe for that matter. We are back home. I got really ill, which I should have anticipated because every single time I hand in my last assignment or I have like my last exam, I just get deathly ill. This was no exception. Like I handed in my last paper and then I just, got really sick, and I'm still on the mend. I'm feeling a lot better and just really happy to be back home, to have handed in my last paper. In fact, I got my grades back today, so it just feels really official, like that chapter of life has concluded, and it feels so good. So I am in a celebratory mood, and the literal thing I got to celebrate was a book from the library in classic Iggy fashion. So, and actually I was pretty good because I purposefully didn't buy any books on my trip, although I was tempted on a few occasions because the European covers are quite gorgeous. But I thought to myself, no, we must spend all our money on Danish home goods. And that's exactly what I did. But I won't bore you and show you those, but just know that allocate some funds if you're planning to go to Copenhagen. And if you're into like anything to do with your home or like interior design, allocate some funds because you will find some absolute gems. That was probably the highlight of the trip, to be honest, was Copenhagen, and the Louisiana Museum specifically just blew me away. So I would add that to the list, but you don't need me to tell you that. I'm sure everybody knows how great Denmark is. But anyway, I went to Rome after that. That's when I finished my essay. That's when I got sick. And then I went to Paris and I was out for like 2 days. And now we are back home, and I don't start my job until the end of the month. So I still have a little bit of a break, which is really, really nice. I've just been enjoying my routine, hanging out with my cat, which I wish you could see right now. He's just lounging, enjoying the sun. So along with the sickness though, I did manage to read the 3 books I brought on vacation with me. And I also wanted to talk about a few books that I read before my trip. So that's where we're at. Let's do a wrap up. I can't believe it. It feels so good also to be reading again and have that be like an active part of my routine and my life again, because for the past like 2 months, I've just been pretty like focused on school. And so my brain just wasn't really in the pleasure reading mood. Like when I get to one book, like I don't even remember anything really. And it's not because of the book. I think I was just really stressed and I had a lot going on. So I just like blocked it out of my mind because I don't think I had the space to like focus and dedicate time and focus to it. But anyways, with that said, it just feels really nice to just dive on in, because that's literally all that's on the agenda for the next few weeks, apart from just like hanging out with my friends and like being my parents' personal chef. Like that's top priority, is like read as much as possible. So anyway, so the first book I read a while ago, but this has actually really stayed with me and has been a really good conversation starter with my friends, is The Serviceberry by Robin Wall Kimmerer. I love her. She is the author of Braiding Sweetgrass, and this is her latest little guy. It's actually an essay all about reciprocity and the natural world. She uses that berry to talk about the gift economy and the importance of having a exchange with your community that isn't necessarily transactional, but rather focusing on sharing what you have for the sake of sharing, for the sake of improving your community and the well-being of those around you, and that has a ripple effect and just improves not only like the ecosystem around you, but yourself and your sense of belonging and being of service to other people and mainly your community. She just has a really beautiful, tender, honest and human way of writing that always really touches me, and it makes me appreciate people in my life. It makes me appreciate the natural world around me, especially living in Vancouver and living so close to nature, and that being like a very active part of my life. Reading her work just always reminds me to be extra thankful and express my gratitude, and also, yeah, just manifest that gratitude among my friends, be it through like treating them to something or gifting them something that I have or something that I've baked, or manifesting that gratitude within my community, be it through my time as well as the gifts that I just mentioned. Really, really recommend it. It's really beautiful. It's super short, but it will stay with you, and just even experiencing like a couple pages of Robin Wall Kimmerer's writing is just such a treat. So this was lovely. Then I read Martyr, and this is the one that I alluded to a little bit ago, that I really drew out the reading process, and I was so stressed out with writing the million papers that I had to write that I liked it. I mean, it was a good read, but to be honest with you, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more had I just like sat down one afternoon and read for a couple hours, for example. Like, I got really into it during the end because I had handed in a couple papers and I had like a tiny bit of like free time, or like I gave myself a couple days to not start like the next paper. While I liked it, I wouldn't say this is like a standout read for me. Like, this is the best book of 2025. Like, I enjoyed it. It was obviously very well written. There were some beautiful lines in here. I found the story quite compelling. The character, specifically Cyrus, I found like interesting and flawed and like layered, and I enjoyed his voice quite a lot. And I liked it's very plotty. Like, while it is very poetic and the writing is gorgeous, like I said, it is like quite a plotty book. Like, there is an there's like a mystery you're like not trying to figure out. That makes it sound even more plotty than it is. But there is like a storyline, if you will. Like, as you know, a lot of the books I read, like, nothing's happening really. You're just in the psyche of the character. Like, this isn't, I mean, it is that, but it's also like there is a story there. I enjoyed it, but like, I don't have anything profound to say about it. I don't think this was like a standout read for me. I wouldn't have bought it hardcover. This was gifted to me by a lovely friend. But yeah, it was good, but it wasn't like, oh my God, everybody go read this. But I feel like that's the consensus around this. So maybe I'm just like an outlier. I don't know, but it's just my experience with it. Yeah, so I have nothing else to add to the discourse, really. Like, it was good. God, I'm so bad at this. Okay, the next book that has stuck with me and I deeply enjoyed, I think partly because I literally read it for a couple hours and finished it at the beach, and that is Mornings Without Me by Mayumi Inaba, and she was quite a prolific Japanese writer. And this story specifically, or I shouldn't say story, this is actually her autobiography, and discusses her beautiful connection to her cat. And the story starts with the author finding this cat out in the world. She's stuck on a fence. She like takes the kitty with her and basically discusses 20 years worth of her life, or 20 or 15, I'm not sure, but this cat lived for a long time, and it really made me dearly, dearly wish and pray for Boo Boo to also remain in my life for a long time. But the writing is very simple, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but the simplicity is really soothing and welcoming and just lovely. I really liked the profound simplicity can be in writing, especially the last couple pages of this had me this close to crying. Like, it was so beautiful, and just the magic that lies within our animals and the animals that we choose to share our space with. I just really identified with this book because I too have a cat. I too have lived just with my cat, and I feel like, especially for those 2 years that I lived on my own with my cat, having him was such a pivotal force, and I think a big reason why those 2 years weren't harder than they would have been otherwise, especially like I was going through a breakup and it was like the first year of law school and that was really difficult. And anyways, it's like my own personal life obviously informed the way that I took this in and just why it was so impactful for me. But I highly encourage you to read this if you're a cat person, or even if you love animals and you're curious, or you enjoy reading about humans' relationship with our domestic animals. I would 10 out of 10 pick this up. And she talks a lot about writing too, and the process of making art and solitude and doing solitude well. Like at no point is she she divorces the partner that she has at the beginning of the novel, and like she undergoes a lot of personal life changes all while being alone. And I just really enjoy stories where the figure doesn't like crumble once the like heteronormative or like the white picket fence illusion has disintegrated, or like it's no longer serving them, but they're still thriving and they make space, they take up space, they change their life, they evolve in a way that's inspiring and empowering and just really beautiful, while also having this beautiful like companion and equal force that brings them joy and inspiration and love, that being her little cat. So I really enjoyed this. I would highly recommend it to, like I said, anybody that loves an animal and enjoys being alone. Then I went on my trip, and these were the 3 that I brought and read while I was gone. The first one being On the Calculations of Volume 1. This has been making the round, so I'm sure this cover looks familiar to you, but essentially this woman is stuck on November 18th or September 18th. Which one is it? I'm not sure. It doesn't say in the back. But anyways, yes, she is essentially living out the same day, and she starts to keep a diary of the same day that she's living over and over again, in the form of like what we're reading. And it sounds like it would be an infuriating read and incessantly repetitive, obviously, because it's just the same thing over and over again, despite her making her days varied and explores the expanse of like what is going on, her own psyche, her relationship with her husband. And I found it really compelling. At no point did I get kind of annoyed or bored at how repetitive it was. I found the writing really great. I really want to read the second one. So this is translated from the Danish, and there's 8 little novels, I believe, but only 2 of them have been, as far as I know, 2 of them have been translated to English. And I'm really curious to know more, and I enjoyed the author's voice. I enjoyed how she was making sense of her new reality and what she chose to do with that year that she essentially lives out the same day. My one thing, though, is that if I was her, I would at least have had one day where I just like pretend to like my husband and everyone else that like I'm just so okay. She experiences this like break in time while she's in France on a work trip. And so she is separated from her husband. And so she goes back to her town, she goes back to her home. And every time she chooses to engage with her husband, rather than like hiding in her house, she tells the husband all that has unfolded. As in like, she's like, hey, I'm stuck in time. It's the same day. I can tell you everything that's gonna happen. And the husband, instead of like not believing her, is very much on board and is lovely and supportive and all these things. But every single time this woman sees the husband, she is just so honest. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, you go girl. Like every time she goes on the laborious task of telling him like all these things that have happened and the loop that she finds herself in. And I thought to myself, I definitely would have lied like at least once. I'd just been like, hey babe, yep, I just decided to come home early. Like, how have you been? You know, and just like gone through the motions and just like pretended. Like she never pretends. She is such an honest, sincere queen from beginning to end. It's crazy. Like maybe that speaks poorly of me, I don't know, but I was just like, oh my God, here she goes again. Like she's opting out of the lie, or out of like, not even lie, but just like go through the motions and pretend just like for her own well-being for once, you know, and just like not having to put herself through that again. And the husband having like a moment of confusion and being like, what's going on? Like, Anyways, that's just me though. Really enjoyed it though. Yeah, peculiar little book, and you'd think that the plot, like I said, would get a bit monotonous, but it doesn't. So yeah, it was good. Okay, then I read Optic Nerve while I was on my way to France and also while I was in Paris, and this was a really great companion because she talks a lot about artists that I got to see while I was in France, which that was sort of my intention for bringing this, because essentially it's unrelated loose stories following a woman who is, I was going to say an art critic, but she's not that. She's a art historian, and she takes, and her profession, I guess, is taking clients to see works in Buenos Aires. But that's just the first story, and that gives you a sense of who the woman is a little bit. But the stories in the novel weave together artists that she admires with her own personal biography and moments in her life and people in her life, her husband, her brother, her family. It all is fed to us in very fragmentary, scattered kind of way. But if you enjoy reading about art, and if you enjoy a loose introduction into someone's life, I guess, then I think you would enjoy this. I don't think this is for everyone, and I don't think I would have enjoyed this if I wasn't in Europe and I wasn't actually reading and seeing the works that this woman was talking about. I would have maybe found it a little bit, not boring, but I just don't think it would have hit the same. So keep that in mind. Maybe bring this if you're planning on going on vacation, and part of the vacation is going to museums and looking at art and thinking about art. Then I would say that this would be a fitting companion. But if you just want like a beach read or something to read in the morning, like, I don't know. Then I read 15 Dogs by Andre Alexis, who I actually met because he came into the bookstore years ago when there was a writer's fest going on. And I was really taken by his aura, if you will. He was very interesting about, and I made a note to pick up his books, but obviously I never did until now. And I have Lisa Robertson to thank for this. She is the author of Baudelaire's Fractal, as well as just a lot of poetry. She's a poet. Anyways, she said that this was a perfect novel. And when I was at the Paper Hound, which is my favorite bookstore in Vancouver, I saw it and I thought to myself, this is a sign. And it was so good. It's very much out there. So if you don't enjoy, or if you want to read more of like a basic or like more follow like a traditional story kind of vibe, then this isn't going to be for you. But then again, if you're into that stuff, like you probably wouldn't be watching my videos anyway, because this book has to do with two gods that decide to give dogs human consciousness. And so the story follows these dogs that are staying overnight at a vet place in Toronto. And then overnight, they are given this ability to tap into their consciousness and talk as if they were humans amongst each other, as well as with humans. And yeah, we follow these 15 dogs, 15 dogs. And I just loved the writing, phenomenal writing. They feel like these dogs are human. It feels very human. It feels very personal. And I just loved it. It was such an unexpected read. I don't know why nobody has ever talked about this book. I mean, to be fair, it is quite old, or not quite old, but it's not like a new release or anything. But yeah, I was really, really impressed by it. I was so glued to the story that I picked it up, and I had read maybe 30 pages or so in Copenhagen, and when I landed in Rome, I had finished the whole thing. I was just so consumed, and the story was so good. Like I said, the writing is great. And yeah, I just really, really liked it. It's like seeing the world through a different lens, but also not, you know? And the relationship between one of the dogs with their caretaker, or with their friend, I should say, I really, really enjoyed reading that. And yeah, this was just really great. And I can't wait to read more of Mr. Alexis, because this really surprised me in a good way. So those are all of the books that I have read as of late. I would encourage you to pick up 15 Dogs. I think that one would be like a crowd pleaser, because the Mornings Without My might not be for everyone, despite it totally being up my alley. Okay, and then lastly, I just picked up The Last Samurai by Helen DeWitt, which Pato told me not to buy. And if I like it, I'm going to be pissed that that I don't own it, because I saw it at a used bookstore and I was tempted, but instead I decided to get it out of the library, which is good. I'm just saying that I'm just joking around, but there are times when I'm reading a really good book and I want to underline or I want to make a little note, and obviously I can't do that with a used book, or sorry, not a used book, a book from the library. So I just write whatever line or word on my phone, but I don't love to do that. But anyways, whatever. Love the library. I had a great time in there. I hadn't been in a minute, but I am really excited to read this. So I'm going to end this video, go outside with my iced tea, start The Last Samurai, and I'll let you know what I think. Thank you so much for watching this vlog. I realize that it's all over the place. Also, it's been like 3 months since you saw the first clip, so there's also that. I love the fact that hopefully I'll have more time to do this, and even if I don't do this often, as I'm sure you know, because the last time I uploaded was like in January, I really appreciate you watching, sticking around, commenting. It's just really lovely, and I'm just happy to do this when I can and get to hang out. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully we'll see each other soon. Let me know what you've been reading, and if there's anything that I should add to my summer TBR. I will be a 9 to 5 girly, so even when I start my job, I hope to still have a lot of reading time. So with that, I bid you goodbye. Thank you for coming along the law school journey with me. That I can't believe I can say that I'm done. And if you are starting that journey, best of luck to ya. It's hard, but it's also obviously doable. And you don't need me to tell you that. I'm sure you know. But anyway, that is all for me for now. Thanks again for watching, and I'm sending you much love. Mwah. Bye.